Hello, good evening and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Thank you most kindly for joining us. Tonight on the program, the road to 2027 is becoming increasingly clear. Peter Obi's formal defection and joining of the African Democratic Congress is drawing his core supporters to the opposition, reshaping the election landscape across the country. The merging of Obi's obedience with Atiku's structures has already altered 2027 calculations, and there are speculations of Kwankwaso's switch from the Kwankwasia movement on the platform of the NNPP to join the ADC, which, according to some, could further strengthen the coalition force. But the question remains, can this mass followership split by regional, political and survival instincts hold together, or will the alliance falter as we count down to next year's general elections? Tonight on the program, we'll be speaking with someone who's all too familiar with Nigerian politics, all too familiar with the big stage, Aisha Yesufu, a key figure in Obi's camp who has now gone partisan, to unpack the implications of this shift for the 2027 context. But first, let's bring you up to speed with some of the day's latest political news.
Minister of the Federal Capital Territory Nyesom Wike has cautioned APC National Secretary Senator Jibola Bashiru to stay out of River State politics. The warning follows Bashiru's remarks accusing the party's South-South Vice Chairman Victor Gedam of attacking Governor Siminalaya Fubara. The warning follows Bashiru's remarks accusing the party's South-South Vice Chairman Victor Gedam of attacking Governor Siminalaya Fubara to gain favor with Wike. Tension has hit the APC National Working Committee after a public clash between senior party officials over comments about River State Governor Siminalaya Fubara. Bashiru condemned Victor Gedam for describing Fubara as a so-called governor during a recent visit by Nyesom Wike to Gokana, River State. A federal high court in Abuja has refused bail to Bauchi State Commissioner for Finance, Yakubu Adamu, and 4 others facing terrorism financing charges. Justice Emeka Nwite ruled that the nature of the offenses poses a threat to national security and public order.
All right, some of the day's latest political developments there. Let's segue into our main conversation of the evening. The coalition forces gaining a lot of momentum, and they've added one more popular voice to their ranks. Aisha Yesufu recently, just a couple of hours ago, picked up her membership of the ADC. She's become partisan for the very first time, I suppose, in her career as a public figure, and we're happy to have her join us for tonight's conversation. Thank you so much for stopping by this evening. It's good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me for the very first time in my life.
Yeah, I saw you with the new ADC membership card.
Say no more.
What does that feel like?
Say no more.
What does that feel like?
It's a bit like a weight because, you know, one of the reasons for me, I've always said, I didn't want anything, you know, whether public office or being associated with something, is the kind of freedom that I have, freedom to express myself. So I'm Aisha Yesufu. Whatever I say, you understand, that is Aisha Yesufu. For one example I use for a lot of people, you see when this, you know, I call it Tinubu's anthem. I don't call it national anthem. When Tinubu's anthem is being played, I as Aisha Yesufu, I don't stand up for that and everything. But, you know, now that partisan part of ADC, it wouldn't be, if something happened, it wouldn't be those that Aisha Yesufu did not. They would bring in, you know, ADC member or ADC there. So for me, it's that weight of responsibility. So instead of me just thinking about my freedom and just doing what I want to do, I got to a place where I had to really, it was a real, you know, hard decision to say, is it about me, my personal freedom and doing my own thing, or the suffering of the people? And like I said, Mr. Peter will be going into formally, you know, declaring and bringing his people in the ADC. I made a promise to him, and I said, look, because of you, I'm gonna pick a card and be part of this, you know, part of this party. And here I am, an ADC member.
Right. So, I mean, in explaining why now, also explain to me why you think ADC is the right fit for you.
Okay, so the reason why I think ADC is a right fit for me is that we have always agitated on the side of, opposition, asking for the right thing to be done. And then you had people who were in the party, some of them in the so-called ruling party, who weren't doing the right thing. And then right now they're saying, oh, okay, we have a common interest. They see what is happening, that the party that they had, it's not doing the right things that it needs to do. So for me, I've always said that politics is not a romantic affair. I'm not looking for whether I like you, I don't like you, doesn't matter. What matters is the interest of Nigeria. And if we're going to work together towards the interest of Nigeria in ensuring good governance, accountability, transparency, I'm going to be there. And I see a lot of people who come out, oh, but you said there's a structure of criminality. You say you're not going to work with. I didn't go to them. If I told you I was entering APC, God forbid, please slap my face and, get it. They decided to meet me where I am. And I'm not going to be sort of like sit and be sanctimonious and say that, oh, no, I'm not going to work with this because A, B, C, D. What I know is that wherever I am and as much as possible, I'm never, ever going to allow anyone do anything that is not for the betterment of Nigeria. And so for me, now we have a group of people who have that common interest to ensure that there's good governance for Nigeria. That's what I focus on. What people's motives are, it's usually not my business. I know I'm here for Nigeria to work, and I'm going to ensure I do everything possible, even if it takes my life, for us to have a Nigeria where the child of nobody can become somebody without knowing anybody. One of the things, my ambition, and I want a situation whereby 100 years after I am dead, that people will know that an Aisha Yesufu lived in Nigeria, and they'll be proud of that Aisha Yesufu that lived in Nigeria. Anything short of that is failure to me.
What do you say to Nigerians who are not particularly 100% convinced that the ADC is a better alternative?
So the thing is that come, let's make it a better alternative. And I'll tell you, in 1999, how old was I then? I think I was in my 20s, either 25 or thereabout. I think I was 25. And I regret the fact that I didn't join politics at that time. I probably would have made, a difference. One of the things is that staying away never solves anything. If you think right now ADC is not that option, why don't you come in and make it whatever it is that you want to see it to be? I always say the people who are in politics, they don't have two heads. They work very hard. And nature abhors vacuum. If the people who have it, who have competence, character, capacity, can be patriotic, do the right thing, are staying away and just sitting by the side and say this is not that, then we're not going to get it right. So what I would say to them, why don't you come in, and so that on your business and on you standing on it, nobody is going to do anything that is wrong. What is the best for Nigeria is what has to be done.
Right. And beyond the rhetorics of Nigerian politics and the clamor for power, what does ADC, in your view, actually stand for in terms of its ideology, in terms of manifesto, in terms of what it's bringing to the table?
I think the thing ADC is bringing to the table, most importantly, equity and justice, and that's one thing that we haven't seen in a lot of ways in this country. I'll give you an example to tell you about. Even when they talk about youth leadership, you find out that there is youth for female, youth leader female, youth leader male, which is quite interesting, and I think quite innovative in our setting in Nigeria, because most times when people are talking about youth, it's always about one gender and not another. And I see where, for me, and I'm very particular about this, because I'm very, how do I put it, I'm selfish on the issue of women and youth. Because a lot of places where decisions are being made, women and youth are not at the table. And so for me, I want to see them there. And I see the way the ADC has pushed for that, equity to be at the forefront. So for me, that's one thing that I take away. Because when you care about everybody, to be able to bring everybody to the table, to have a discussion, that's a whole lot. And you see right now, ADC is putting together, a constitutional review, trying to put its policies together and all of that. At the end of the day, I think it's about a party that shows that cares, for the people. It's not just about, oh, let's remove who is there. If you're removing who is there, replacing with something there's no need, or replacing with same. Nigeria has past a stage where incrementalism would work. What we need right now is innovation. We need leadership that is innovative, and I see ADC, going on that way. So what I would say to my fellow citizens, and I think I said that when I was picking up my card, to say that I know politics have been said to be dirty. We've heard that a long time. I mean, for as long as politics is dirty and all of that, why don't we come in and clean it up? And then I know a lot of people don't want their white to be stained. Your integrity, you won't be said to have an integrity on you. It has been tested. And so instead of staying on the outside, that's one of the things I've also come to realize, because for me, integrity is very important. My name is more important than any gold and silver. But I've realized that if you stay on the outside and say you're not going to pass through the mud, and then that's the only way that your white would be seen, then it doesn't matter. You've not really tested yourself. Why don't you go through the mud and come out unstained? That's when you can truly have the bragging right to say that your white has not been stained.
Some have likened the ADC's rise to what the APC was doing before 2015 in the build-up to 2014. But they stopped short by saying ADC lacks the it factor. We know the it factor for the most part in 2014 was the Buhari factor. But what in your view is the it factor of the ADC right now? I mean, in terms of hierarchy, it comes somewhere, I mean, it depends on how you see it, whether under the PDP or just under the APC, as far as the top political parties in the country is concerned.
The Peter Obi factor. The Peter Obi factor, I will tell you that. And I will tell you this. And sometimes that is why I say I wish I wasn't a Peter Obi supporter, so that when I speak, people don't think that it's just because I'm biased. In this country, at least in the last, I think our democracy is now going to be 27 years, right? We've had two people who have had mass followership. And one of them that was the late President Muhammadu Buhari and Mr. Peter Obi. And the thing about Mr. Peter Obi is that for the first time in the history of our politics, this 27 years and even before then, because I saw a little bit, I think I was about 10 years old when military, first came in 1983. And this is the first time that we have seen a candidate. This is the first time that we have seen a candidate who is most competent and also most likable to win. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Usually you have someone who is very competent, but they don't have the likability or the popularity to win, or someone who is very popular, they don't have, the competence to actually, now we are having these two things, coming together. And I can tell you one thing, as it is right now, no doubt about it, if it comes to spending, because that's what some people are boastful about, nobody can spend, tinubu. I will give you that, because of course you see all the governors are going there. Our coffers have been opened up, money's everywhere. But one thing that Peter Obi can do is that he will outpassion Tinubu or anyone else. This is someone that inspires passion and motivates the young people. Tinubu, yes, can have the money and whatever. You don't want to be, if you're going to bring something against someone, this is someone, as far as I'm concerned, as this standard, that got into office that he's not supposed to have gotten into. And if you're going to bring someone, you are not going to bring someone that is same old, the same group. That doesn't make sense. You're going to bring someone who is innovative, who is competent, who can do the work, who has the energy, who can go out, who knows everything about every part of the country, and who can inspire, most importantly, the people to come out. This is someone who in 2023 inspired people in their 70s who had never voted to be able to come out to vote, inspired young people, and he still does that. So that is the factor, is that Peter Obi factor.
You think Peter Obi is the arrowhead for the ADC?
I think...
Is he the star boy of the ADC in your view?
So you see, that's why I say, because if anything I say, it will be taken with a pinch of salt. Oh, she's biased. That's why I say, I wish you understand. He is. The first thing, look at the things. And I mean, don't take my words for it. Do your research. Go out there. I mean, that's what, as journalists, those are the things that you can do. Do your findings. The first thing you will notice is that when the coalition was going on, when Peter Obi, was there, came out and people saw how everything was all over the place. And then it sort of like went down a bit again. People were like, oh, he see part of his, because he hadn't formally declared. He had things he was putting in place for him to come formally. Now that you have seen him formally come out, with his people, his supporters, his well-wishers coming to ADC. You've seen a difference also. And in the last, what will I tell you, in the last 48, maybe 72 hours, you've seen the kind of statements that have come out from all around Tinubu's men, all about Peter Obi and obedient and whatever. They're really shaking.
Right. And as far as electability is concerned, if we have to go by the 2023 election result, and Peter Obi is the third most popular person in Nigeria after Tinubu and after Atiku Abubakar. So if we have to go by the numbers, is he less electable compared to Atiku Abubakar? So
it depends on what numbers that you're going with. If you're going with the numbers before the cancellation of the sheets, of the result sheets, before what was uploaded in IREF and what INEC decided to allocate, you say that. But if you are going by the reality of what we saw on ground, of the people who were excited when they voted and their votes were counted and they came out and put out their votes, their result sheet that they had taken pictures of, which INEC, of course, encouraged citizens to be able to do that. You will see that the most popular person, not just in Nigeria, but also in Africa, was actually Mr. Peter Obi. And we saw all of that, across board. We talk about Lagos, we talk about Abuja, and a whole lot of other places. You saw that. So it's a matter of, there's a difference between what was given and what is. And you've seen that popularity up till now. And just go on the line. That's why I say for me, it's all about data is very important. No matter what we say, don't take anything that I say my words for it. Go out on the streets and ask people this question and see the data that you will get from it. And see, even when they come to rooms, even when they come to places, who is the person that Nigerians are most excited to see? Who is the person that Nigerians, speak about? Who, especially young Nigerians? And they're the ones who have the population. And I think at this stage in our lives, all of us, we should be thinking about what works for Nigeria and not what works for our individual selves.
Right. And in talking about Peter Obi himself, his electability, his popularity as a politician, as a political figure in this country, one person who is a ranking member of the ADC in the Nigerian National Assembly, Leke Abejide, I believe, said, listen, Peter Obi exploited or took advantage of certain fault lines, ethnicity and religion, according to him in 2023. And he said, Nigeria is now immune to that, and it may not likely work in 2027. What do you say to that?
The first of all, what I'm going to say to him that whatever he says is absolutely wrong in that, and I will tell you because I was part and parcel of that campaign. That was a campaign that was driven by Nigerians who were passionate and came out. And in the whole of that campaign, and I say this reverse psychology, mind engineering, that propaganda that they always do to talk about this thing, they were the ones who used ethnicity and religion, and pushed it in the faces of people. Everywhere that Mr. Peter Obi went to, he literally would say to you, do not vote for me because you think I'm an Igbo man or a Christian or this or that. Vote for me because you think I'm the most competent. And he will always ask the question between Muslims and, Christians, do we buy bread anywhere we buy bread cheaper? And then he will be there. And I think it's very, what's the word I'm looking for now? Not disingenuous. It's very disingenuous for this question to repeatedly being spoken about in the terms that, he's the one who exploited religion. As a journalist, you know what happened. Don't tell me what other people are saying. What are your findings in that particular? And if there's anyone, we saw Tinubu who was doing the Emilokon. What does the Emilokon do? They are torn. So what was that? That was not exploitation. That was, something else. But one of the things that I'm going to say now is that Mr. Peter Obi's chances are better now in 2026 going to the 2027 election than it was in the 2023 election, 2022-23 election. I'll tell you what. The first thing is that when Mr. Peter Obi came out of PDP, Nigerians had been locked into two-party. It's only two-party. I remember we did a red card movement, and I think that was 2017, 2018 when we did red card movement to say to Nigerians, you can actually vote out of the parties, APC, and PDP. Nigerians couldn't really see that. But he came out of PDP, went to an obscure party, And he was able to rally people around. There were people who said, there were people who believed in him, believed in his capacity, but they felt the party he was in, there was no way they were going to win. This was the same person that we were told that it was 4 people that were tweeting in a room. This was the same person that was told he cannot get up to 100,000 votes. He ended up, INEC, after they have divided his vote and passed it here and there, ended up, giving him that 6 million votes. That tells you a whole lot. So those same people who felt as of 2023 that even though he had capacity, this party, they are no longer feeling that they've seen what he can do. They've seen that since after the 2023 election, where a lot of people, after being defeated, they go out of the country, they go and stay somewhere else. You will not see them again until close to the next election. He has been on the streets everywhere, going literally all over the country. So that in itself also, it's something that it's, gearing people to see him and know that indeed he has what it takes for this election.
Right. Over the past couple of months, you have given your opinion about talks of a coalition, talks of alliances, and you've been quite vehement. In fact, in one of the videos I saw of you, you talked about how you're going to be in the forefront campaigning against Peter Obi if he accepts anything less than the presidential slot. Mm-hmm. Have you changed your opinion about that?
When we get there, we will see. And I'll tell you that when we get there, call me to this station, let's have a conversation about that. Right. And I see, because even today, a journalist called me and it was like, oh, Aisha, I want to talk to you on this. I saw this video. Is it a? I'm like, really? I just picked a card. I thought that was the first thing you're going to call me about. And okay, another thing that I forgot to mention, people, the hunger in the land, what gives Peter Obi more chances? The hunger in the land, the insecurity, and a whole lot of suffering that people never thought that after the Buhari era, we're going to ever see suffering like that. And when he called me, I'm thinking, why are you not talking about this thing? Why do we so much focus on we measure in the minor? What I'm going to say to you, let's get there and let's have this conversation. Call me into this room, inshallah, we'll come and have that discussion.
I mean, people within the obedient rank, people like yourself, have talked about Peter Obi exploring all the options available on the table. We obviously know of the political ambitions of some of the people he has joined ranks with in the ADC, the Atikus, the Rotimi Amechis. Don't know about El-Rufai's plans for 2027, but he is in the mix. There are a couple of other interesting figures there. How do you see this alliance working out? Especially, I mean, now there's speculation that Konkoso might possibly join the ranks. I mean, there's no telling what could happen in the next couple of months. But how realistically do you see these individuals who all want the same thing working things out?
Yeah, so it's how do I put it now? It's an interesting mix, and everybody has a right to compete. Nobody should be pushed away from competing. Let's all go in there. But at the end of the day, I think the big elephant in the room is, do you want to win or do you want to participate in the 2027 election? So for every one of them, it's going to come down to that place where they're saying to themselves, do we want a win? Or do we want to participate? Will be that, oh, you're part of the election and it goes that way. Winning is that you put in a candidate that people are going to come out, because it's passion that is going to drive 2027 election. If you bring same old, what's simply going to happen is that people are just going to stay back at home. They're not going to be interested. There's going to be apathy. And when there's apathy, usually the incumbent, whether legitimately elected or rigged its way in, is the one that, gets advantage of that. So at the end of the day, like I said earlier, that big elephant will be, does ADC want to win election, or does ADC want to participate in the 2027 election? And I can tell you, I know for sure the ADC wants to win the 2027 election. So at that moment, it's no longer about personal ambition. It's about who is the best candidate that is going to motivate the people to come out and ensure that they get a win.
Interestingly, or ironically, that same expression was used by someone in the PDP ranks when he questioned whether they are deciding to go with winning or just to participate when the issue of zoning came about. But if we have to revisit that idea about zoning, do you feel it's a legitimate concern that should be tabled right now about the presidency returning to the South? Or do you think that that is immaterial or even secondary in the conversation of 2027?
Well, it all depends on how you look at it. For me, personally speaking, at this moment, we're looking at who is the candidate that best fits, most competent, has more agility, more the advantage of age, the advantage of being able to be all over the place, knowing the country, having that empathy. For me, that's what's at the table. The party on its own can decide on the zoning part. But at this moment, you're seeing a situation whereby there's a candidate that stands clear on all of this. Because you do not also want a situation where Nigerians, okay, like I talked about earlier, I said we cannot do incrementalism, right? What we need is innovation. We need to shake the country and begin to build it from the foundation for good. You cannot have a situation whereby you're having someone who possibly in a way can be limited based on certain things beyond their control, and then you now come and say that, oh, but the person is this. Nigeria has had too much of situations whereby you're having people like, I think I saw someone who said something as they're using it as people are using Nigeria as health insurance. So you're being told that, oh, but the person is either at this age and can't do this. 12 years ago...
Why does age matter to you?
No, so that's where I'm going to. 12 years ago, I came out, I was 40, 12 years ago, and I made up my mind that I was going to stand, speak up for Nigeria. 4 months after that, Chibok girls were abducted. And I was literally on the street almost every day, except if I'm not in the country, from 2014, May 30, 2014, till 2020, when the COVID-19 embargo lockdown happened. And I tell you, I could march and do that. Now, 12 years after, that same energy that I put in 12 years ago, there's no how I'm going to put in that energy. That's where age matters. It's like you now. I'm so, it's so frustrating when you see Nigerians are so invested in football, right? Now you're saying, if we were to bring an old, maybe Daniel Amokachi, Daniel the Bull Amokachi, because we even spoke to him literally today. That was one of our big players. You hit him, you fall down. He hits you, you fall down. Will you bring him onto the field today and speak about that's what age.
Some would say that's an oversimplification of governance.
Yeah, some would say that, but with the kind of issues that we have, the kind of problems that we have, where you need someone who is going to be on board, mentally alert and physically, it's not an oversimplification. In the case of football, it's just you win a trophy or you don't win a trophy. In the case of governance, you're talking about people's life. I'm telling you, I'm fighting right now for my grandchildren. I failed my children. Because my youngest child is 24. I've not been able to give her the Nigeria that I had. I used to blame my father for not giving me the Nigeria he had. I have not been able to keep the Nigeria I had for my children. So I've already failed them. You're talking about someone who is going to come in the next, my grandchildren. Age has to be a question. And all of us get old. I'm going to get old. The things I could do before, I cannot do them now. And that's a fact. And so when we're talking about a country that is at its knees, because Nigeria, it's on the verge of collapse. The only reason why it has not collapsed, I don't even know. Because every indices or everything that makes countries to collapse, Nigeria has had to go through it. And so this is not the time for us to sit down and be sentimental in the way that there is a certain generation that feels that Nigeria owes them. They've held Nigeria down for too long. Can that generation just simply chill? Let us have a moment. For those of us and even down, and you see the demography of the country, it's young. You say age is not this thing. So they will not tell you that you cannot get it when people made. So let me tell you something else.
But realistically, if you have to put a finer point on it, is Peter Obi necessarily part of the new guard? Because if you have to consider his political career, I mean, he is a part of the establishment, isn't he?
When you say establishment, when did establishment start? And I think when people do this thing, like I will repeat the word I used before, they are being very disingenuous. People who start, there are people who have been on this country right from maybe like our independence. After our independence, they've all been there. So when did the old guard sons, is this someone that came in maybe 2000 and something or whatever, compared to someone that's 1990 something or 1980 something or 90? No, they're not the same now. It's as looking at me tomorrow and then you say, I'm currently 52 and you say to a 30-something-year-old that we are the same old guard, or a 20-something, how are they old guard? Because we happen to be in this generation, or maybe they run for one particular office. One thing that I need Nigerians to understand is that 2020 2026 towards 2027 election. We are fighting for our lives. It's no longer banter. There is no time for banter. And it is not about our personal ambition. It is about what is it that works best for our country. Let us not reach 100 years from now and we have our descendants cursing us and saying that where were we when the world was moving forward?
Right. Do you consider 2027 Peter Obi's last dance?
I don't know about that. You understand? He has been one person. For me personally, I don't think so. He has a lot going for him, but also at the same time, there is a peak that he is at, which we have missed with a lot of leaders in terms of, that fear Nigeria has. When you see people at their peak, being able to do things, you don't give it to them, and then later on they want to do some compensatory thing. We should stop the compensation. I do not think that that should be his last decision, but he has been one person who has said that he is not after 2027. He's not interested. I've heard him say that quite a number of times. And one of the things also that I've heard him say a lot of times that I have even argued with him over was where he would say that he would do only one term. He started saying that in 2022.
You don't buy that?
No, he meant it. But I always said to him, look, you can't say that you only do one thing. If you come in and you do great job, Nigerians, let me just finish on that thought. Nigerians would want you to and will push you for that. And on the issue when we came to this whole, after the 2023 election, when he started the conversation, I went to Mr. Peter Obi and I looked him in the eye and I said, sir, I need your word on this, because let me tell you something. I am someone who my words mean to me. Even if I have to lose my life on it, I keep to my words. And I said to him, are you going to do only one thing? And he said, Aisha, I've told you before, I will do only one thing. That you can do so much, you can achieve so much within that one thing. And I believe him on it, and because of that, I have taken that word to continue to believe on him. And I can tell you now also, if and when Mr. Peter Obi gets into office by the grace of God and he does 4 years and he says he wants to do additional 4 years, Aisha Yesufu, will be amongst those that will be against it, because if you said something, you must stay by it. But he's one person for me. I see him who wants to be in the league of the Lee Kuan Yews, in the league of the Nelson Mandela. So it's not how long you stay in office. Nelson Mandela did one term, but it's how effective you're able to affect the lives of the people. So
if the deal on the table for him with the ADC is...
I don't know what the deal is.
I'm saying if...
No, I don't know what his deal is. I'm not his spokesperson.
Hypothetically, I'm getting to the question. If the deal for him on the platform of the ADC is, be the candidate, however, if you win, you're only going to serve one term, would you ask him to take that deal? Absolutely.
And he must stay by that one term. Yes, that's why. So for me, I've even referred people to his 2022, videos when he was saying that if that's the deal, absolutely. And I'm one person that I will hold him on to that word, because your word must be your bond, no matter what. And like he's always said, there's so much you can achieve within 4 years. It's about setting Nigeria on the course of greatness. We have amazing people. We have the resources. We have the landmass. Mr. Peter Obi is one person that I see him talk so much about the landmass in the north, and every state in Nigeria. He knows what they have, the minerals they have, the resources they have, what can be used to earn foreign exchange for the people and make the people better. When the issue of this coastal road came up, he kept saying, why is a coastal road being built? Why are you not taking care of all the roads, that join Nigeria? And we saw during this December where people are traveling back home and literally people were trapped for days on roads, that were definitely not good. So for me, I see what I see Nigerians, we always ask for miracle. Every time we are begging God to help us for a miracle to save Nigeria. The fact that we come to election and we are alive for election, that's our miracle. It's not left for us to fight for it and ensure that the best person gets in there. From from the 60s to the 70s, we always say we miss the people that we would have put in and then to do the great things. It's only when they're gone, we then begin to lament at not having them there. Let's help ourselves to get in the right people, and then we hold them accountable and make sure that we are on them to also do the right things.
Another hypothetical for you. What if the path to Aso Rock Villa leads through the vice presidency?
That's for him to answer. So let me tell you something. In 2015, I voted a ticket because of vice presidency. In 2015, Osibanjo was the reason.
Right.
And
you didn't buy the Buhari hype?
No, absolutely never. 2011, and I said this, and you see, this is the irony of life. 2011, I voted for Nuhu Ribadu. If Nuhu Ribadu is running for office again today, I won't vote for him. And he was the reason. Okay, so my political journey is a bit. I voted in 1993. I voted for MKO Abiola. That vote, you know what happened to it, was cancelled. And I vowed never to vote again in Nigeria. I was so angry, it pained me. Nuhu Ribadu in 2011 was the reason why I picked up my voter's card. And I was campaigning for him all over. So I didn't vote neither Jonathan nor Buhari. We came into 2014. I think September, October, my tweets are still there. People that love to dig tweets, please feel free to check it. I said there is no how, Buhari was going to win an election after all the things that have happened and stuff like that. But in December, when by the time he picked his running mate, Professor Yemi Osibanjo, and he was out there, he was in more or less Common Sense Revolution, the youth thing, all of the things, meeting people, town hall meetings, seeing someone, and the motion then was that everybody was desperate. That's why I say for people who feel that, we want to revolt, people have been there before. 2015, things were so bad. You were literally standing and you don't know whether a suicide bomber was going to cut your head off, and the presidency wasn't doing anything, the party wasn't doing anything. And so we're like, okay, this one needs to go. If you bring in these people, at least they're seeing that another one has been removed, they will sit up. And so for me, I voted for a running mate. And this was someone who was doing so much. And where they say, Osibanjo will handle the economy, Buhari will handle security. Today, I can tell you that I see a running mate as someone, when you have a car, and your tire is flat, and the spare tire, you forgot it at home. That's what it is.
So you don't think it's good enough, a position?
It's not me. People.
It's not a starting point.
Everybody have their own choice. That's the way I say. Anybody can decide what this is. I'm not speaking for anyone. Right. Everybody sees. People have their own path, to different places, and what they want to do is their own personal business. I don't have what I'm going to say about that, since I'm not the one doing it here.
All right, but it's safe to say, presidency, you're all in. Vice presidency, you're not particularly sure.
I'm not the one running. Am I?
Yeah, but you're
when I'm running for president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, let's talk about that. Okay. But as of now, I'm not the one who is doing that, right. So I can't speak for anybody.
Let's talk about experiences. You've had to deal with the fallouts of working with the Labour Party structure. When the whole controversy that trailed the aftermath of the 2023 elections. Going into this marriage of convenience, or whatever it is that you describe with the ADC, how prepared are you for what could go wrong in the ADC?
For me, and I'm speaking for Aisha Yesufu right now, you understand, in the ADC, all I am focused on is what is the difference that I'm going to make for Nigeria. And so I'm ready to endure anything and fight anything and put in, as long as my values, the basic values I have, I'm not compromised. I'm not going to be one to either kill, maim, all of those things. I don't believe in those things. So in case of fallout, it's just like in any political party. And by the way, Labour Party was not the first political party I was part of. I was part of ACPN. I was on the presidential campaign team of Dr. Obi Is, and we got a lot. There was a lot of fallout, a lot of issues that came out. So for the Labour Party, it didn't come as something of surprise, to me. I'm ready for anything to happen. I mean, betrayals, things that will go this way, that way, it will happen. But all I want is that wherever I am, Nigeria will be safe with me. That's all I'm concerned with. So no matter what is happening on the issue of Nigeria, I will be, even if I'm a lone voice, even if whatever the force is coming at me, as long as it's about Nigeria, I'm going to, focus on that. I see people who are saying, is she leaving advocacy for politics and all of that? I'm not leaving advocacy for politics. I am taking advocacy into politics. I've come over time to realize that advocacy and politics are the end result is the same. There are, two sides of a coin. Those in advocacy, they point out the problems, and those in politics who are elected, they solve the problem. And so it's for the greater good. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, what we've had is that the politics of Nigeria has been, for selfish, desires that people think that's how politics should be. No, politics is supposed to be for the greater good. And for me, at the end of the day, whatever decision I make, even if I personally, my personal, whatever it is, be it ambition or my personal good, we take the second fiddle or second row or back row. I will do it for the greater good. Remember what I said to you. I want 100 years after I am dead for people to remember that an Aisha Yesufu lived in this world, and for them to appreciate me and pray for me and not curse me.
So it's about legacy.
Absolutely.
Politics, much like elections, is a numbers game, isn't it? You consider the electoral map right now. You see how big the APC is becoming. It's almost too big to fail at this point. As a ruling party, it's on course to beat. It's on course to beat the PDP's record as far as dominance is concerned.
Where did the PDP?
Are you being realistic when you say beating Bola Ahmed Tinubu or beating the APC is possible in 2027? If you have to factor in how big and dominant the party is.
Absolutely. So let me first of all laugh in Isako. The first thing you need to understand is that if APC was truly big and dominant, they would not be desperately shopping for governors. The fact that they have lost it, they have lost the people. And so what they want to do is to give an illusion of power. So there's power and there's an illusion of power. So there are, when you see like a bully or something, thinking that the more I show power, the more people will going to be afraid. That's what you're seeing right now. The very fact that they are on this shopping spree tells you everything, that they're so much afraid. And you could see in the last 72 hours how worried they have been since 31st of December, how they have come out with this almost fear. Like I said, to ask them the question, fear, is that you? I put out a statement on my Twitter handle, was it yesterday or thereabout, and the question I asked is that fear, is that you? Because you see it in the way they're speaking. I will give you an example. A video came out where Governor Hope Uzodinma was having an address, and if you look at it, was a picture of men who were scared of even their shadows. They didn't look like people who were powerful. You wouldn't see them if you didn't know them as a Nigerian to know that those were governors who were sort of like heads of their federating states, different federating states. But they were just like people who had bunch of weights there. One of them, who happens to be, the governor of my own state, was so nervous. You could see him just using his hand to hit his leg and stuff like that. So that tells you everything. They don't have, what they're trying to portray is that illusion of power. They don't have it. But another thing that is going to happen is this. Very soon, we're going into the political season, right? You've seen this place where all of a sudden, a governor has been brought in, then automatically he becomes the leader. You saw what's happening in Port Harcourt, in Rivers State, where they are saying that Governor Fubara is now the leader of APC and all of that. The other people who were leaders before, there are people who are not going to be happy, people who wanted to contest the seat. Now you have their own incumbent, somebody else who is coming in. So in no time, you're going to see those cracks that are going to come out, and some of them are going to, go out of it. But by the way, all of these things are playbook of PDP. PDP has done this thing before. We saw PDP at one time with, I think, 27, it's like 2007, they had 27, 28 governors. At the end of the day, where did it take them to? When Nigerians were ready to take out an incumbent, government, a legitimate incumbent government, talk less. They did it. So I see people sometimes who try to allude it to, it's the US that did it, it's Obama, forgetting that it was Nigerian citizens who said enough is enough. And I'll still use this word I've used so many times. I wish I had another word. They are being disingenuous. And so what they have not realized is that when Nigerian citizens sit down and say enough is enough for you, they see it. And I can see it, all the things playing out with this current APC.
All right. And on that fiery note, we're going to have to anchor the conversation here. Aisha Yesufu, thank you so much for joining us on Daily Politics this evening.
Thank you for having me.
For the analysis.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not a card-carrying member
Right.
of ADC.
All right.
Arise. AD and C. Arise and shine Nigeria.
All right. And we're going to leave you with this week's State of the Nation with Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed as he takes you through his thoughts on what is shaping the polity. We'll see you next time. Good evening.